Hello everyone and welcome back to the next module, number 14, Dokusan or private interview with the teacher. So the definition of Dokusan is a conversation where one participant asks questions and the other provides answers. That's sort of the definition of an interview. And so with Dokusan, again, a big part of Zen practice is typically on retreat or during an extended practice period, the student is able to go to the teacher with specific questions, typically around their practice, and the teacher is able to give them some guidance and direction. I think it's pretty normal, especially in more modern culture, for people to want to ask their teachers questions around relationships. A lot of people tend to ask questions around that and career. A typical standard old-fashioned Zen teacher will try to guide the student to ask questions about practice, about meditation, maybe discomfort in the body. But at the end of the day, the way I've translated this for the purpose of this class is the importance of having a teacher, a mentor, a coach, someone that has an unbiased perspective on your situation that you could go to, that where there's trust and they maybe have more experience than you in that particular topic or situation. I think that it's really important to have that kind of support system. We talked about it a little bit earlier with Sangha and community, having that support system, but this is even penetrating the support system even further and having an individual, particularly a teacher, to go to for guidance. For me personally, I'll remember the first time that I did Dokusan. It was our first retreat that I had been on and that the group had organized. And since I was one of the leaders, we weren't quite sure if there was going to be time to get to it, because it was more important that the people who were newer and who had never been on a retreat and weren't one of the regulars, that they got first crack at being able to do Dokusan with the teacher. And so it was sort of like up in the air whether I was going to get a chance to or not. And by the end of the retreat, everyone had gone and there was still some time left to go and meet with my teacher. So everyone is meditating in the Zendo and the meditation hall, and you get a light tap on your shoulder during meditation, and you get up very quietly from your cushion, and you walk out of the meditation hall very quietly. You walk across the path to another secondary meditation hall where you're sitting across from the teacher, similar to this. And for my teacher personally, he had a different energy to him, way more personable, way more approachable, a lot more compassion, in my opinion, one-on-one than in a typical group setting. And I'm sure we've all experienced this with friends and family, how there's a different dynamic and energy when someone is in a group versus one-on-one. And I know personally I have friends that I can connect to really deeply one-on-one, but then when I'm in a group, everything can potentially change. And so it's similar to this, right? The teacher, when there's a lot of people and students around, they have to monitor and manage the entirety of the group. This is an opportunity for one-on-one direct conversation with the practitioner. And so during my Dokusan, I don't remember exactly what we spoke about. The thing that I held most in my memory is just the energetic exchange and the openness and the intimacy, if you will, of the one-on-one. And so this is really about on your path, on this Zen Mindset Immersion program. This is another major pillar in the philosophies of Zen practice that I've outlined. And of course, with my business being a coach, I highly encourage you to, if you want to reach out to me particularly, or if you go and find a therapist or another life coach or a business mentor, someone who is ahead of you in that particular journey, whether it's just life in general or something more specific. But a lot of times a coach, a teacher, a mentor can point out some of your deficiencies or flaws very quickly. It might take you on your own to realize it years. So you could potentially be expediting your learning curve a lot. And not that we're in a rush, but you might as well take the shortest path, to enlightenment, to learning, instead of taking this windy road. There could be more direct routes, and so I highly encourage you to consider that with this particular aspect of the program. So, what are some of the problems with not having a mentor or coach? They are lack of guidance, limited feedback, reduced motivation, lack of accountability, that's a big one, limited support system, missed socialization opportunities, and maybe even an incomplete understanding of particular topics. And so when you listen to those problems, those could compound and they could become worse and worse, right? If you have lack of guidance or lack of feedback around very important, meaningful things that you're working on, that obviously could become a problem. The benefits of individualized one-on-one coaching interviews is additional support, guidance, accountability, personal perspective, experience, skill development, goal setting, self-awareness, improved decision making, and even enhanced communication. It might be intimidating to speak to your teacher or to a professional, but as you break down your ego, you find a little bit of a flow, you start to open up. This obviously expands your ability to communicate, which then could translate to enhanced communication with your partner, your spouse, your coworkers, your loved ones, family, and friends. So again, all of these teachings and principles we're working on are all designed to be, one part of a fully complete wheel. And so having this one-on-one guidance is just another example of that. Thank you so much.